Hello, dreamers. Welcome back to the show. If this is your first time watching or listening, welcome. Thanks for stopping by. Hit subscribe on the YouTube channel. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram at Livin the Dream 506. Share it. Tell your friends about it. All that good stuff. Everything helps. So thanks, at the very least, for just being here. My guest today is the lead singer and guitarist of WINTERSLEEP, and he just released a new record with his solo project PostData. And that record is called Twin Flames, which I absolutely loved. And I've been a fan of everything he's created for the better part of 2 decades now, and it was an honor and a pleasure having him on the show. So please give it up for Paul Murphy. Well, let's jump right in. You said you're setting up for a show. Are you talking about for Friday night?
Yes, for Friday night. So that's the side door thing that I'm doing, that Dan Mangin thing.
Right. So that's with PostData, but you're doing it solo, just you, right?
Yeah, just solo, and yeah, me and an acoustic, and I might electric guitar in there, but it's pretty easy just doing it as an acoustic performance.
Nice.
Thing. So yeah. So yep. I'm excited about it. I haven't done anything that's like that, for the reason that I just didn't like how it sounded but like since hooking up with Dan, it's it feels like it's gonna be good going through your actual like recording devices and stuff, and you can actually make it sound kind of good on this end anyway, and then everyone's just hearing what you're hearing as well, so that's cool.
Right. So you're going to be playing the new album in its entirety? That's the plan?
Yeah, the new album in its entirety, and then some older stuff, like just probably 4 or 5 songs off of each other record. There's 3 records total, so yeah, it'll be like an hour of music, and then I don't know what the format is, but probably just chatting a little bit with everybody. Yeah.
So, is there going to be a crowd? Are you doing it in front of people?
Yeah, it's live.
Oh, nice.
So it's going to be kind of cool. Yeah, so it's basically like a Zoom meeting. So it's going to be, there'll be like however many people are coming. I think there's a few, and I'll see them at the same time. So it's kind of like so that'd be kind of nice. I think it's going to be cool. I haven't done one like that. It's either going to be really weird, or it's going to be really weird initially, I'm sure, but it's going to be cool. Dan's saying that it's really nice because you get to see everybody's reaction. So it kind of feels closer to a show than like something like Instagram Live, which is also really cool because you're seeing what people are writing, which is great. But he says you get to see people's reactions in real time, which is kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So the new album is called Twin Flames. Is there anything you want to tell us about the new album?
Anything about Twin Flames? I don't know. I did it all in my house. It was like a remote record. So, yeah. And Ali Chant worked on it. He's done stuff with Perfume Genius, and that he did that Soccer Mommy record as well. That was really fantastic. So, yeah, it was done during the lockdown. The first lockdown. I guess we're still locked down at some level, but it's like pretty early stages. Like last year we started working on it kind of like May, June. Yeah, so we did it all kind of like remotely. So it was so it has a certain vibe to it. So it has sort of like, it starts out, it kind of has this sort of intimate quality, I think, to the sort of beds of each song, because it's just, you're basically just basing it all around your vocal and acoustic guitar and kind of just a performance. And then we sort of wanted to elevate it and kind of make it have a cool sounding production as well. So I would get it to I would do that and then add synths and whatever else needed to be added to it. And And then Ali, we worked with people in the UK. There's a really great drummer named Matt Brown, and he worked on the songs. And Ali just had a few people that worked out some of the things that I had done, but put them onto like real things. Like I had like string arrangements done on my recording stuff, software, and then so we got people to actually play that. So we did some fun things in that realm, where he was working with people in Bristol, and I got like my brother sang on a few songs, my cousin sang a song, and so I just got like friends from here to work on it as things started opening back up and we're allowed to hang out with people again. So anyway, I don't know. Yeah, it was a pretty fun record, basically. Very modern day record. I don't think it could have happened like even 5 years ago. I don't think there would have been the technology yet. So it was I felt pretty grateful to be able to kind of work in this capacity. It was a really fun record to make.
Yeah, are there any specific influences on this new album? Like, especially for me personally, the title track "Twin Flames" had I know I've heard that you mentioned it was originally a instrumental track, and then you just put some spoken word over top of it and kind of worked with it that way, and that gave it a real like hypnotic, poetic feel to me, kind of like a Sun Kil Moon sort of vibe. I was wondering if there was any similar like inspirations or like influences from that.
Yeah,
vein.
I love lots of stuff that is in that vein. Kate Tempest as well, Sun Kil Moon. What else? Bill Callahan is reminiscent of something maybe you would try out. And I'm big fans of Bill Callahan, all that stuff. So I don't know. Yeah, I think it's probably there's probably an influence there for sure. But yeah, at the time it was kind of like I don't know. I guess it was just kind of worked for that song really well, that idea.
Yeah. So when you tour this, do you just put together a different band every time that you tour? Like you started this project in what, like 2010?
Yeah. So the first record was 2000. I think I released it in 2010. Yeah, and that was just me and my brother, and the recording was just an acoustic guitar, very much like this show, but the show that's going to happen. So it was just an acoustic guitar and like some synthesizers, and it was just me and Mike over like the holiday season, working on that. And so that was like at that point it wasn't even anything that I really thought I would tour, but then we released it, and it had like good reaction, and so then I just wanted to do a few shows around it, and then the next one was more of a full production, like full band production kind of thing, and that was just with different people. So I did that, some of that with the guys in Frightened Rabbit when I was over because I was in Europe at the time, and I wanted to work with them really bad, so we just kind of arranged that to happen during a trip that I was taking there. That portion of it. So the first half is them, and then the second half was Simone from Blonde Redhead. We toured, my other band, WINTERSLEEP, toured with Blonde Redhead. So I met him, and I wanted to do some stuff with him. So it was more just like getting together, and I think that was kind of the idea in terms of the production of that, was just like working with different people and not necessarily, it's not like a one band sort of thing. But one of the people that played on this record, Jordan, drums for a band called Walrus, and he did most of the live touring for the last Postdata record, and so he played on half of this record, and he'll be touring this record. So I think it's just a matter of like what works and what doesn't work. A lot of these people are in other bands; they have other projects. I have another project as well, so it's kind of like whatever people can do to. If they have their time available, then and they're in a similar vicinity, then that's kind of the idea of the live thing, and we can always make it sound good. Luckily, because I think they're all phenomenal musicians. Luckily, it's crazy.
Yeah, it's cool that you get to like put it together during quarantine, which, like you said, you didn't think it could possibly come together like years ago like this, because now you're kind of probably getting people sending in parts to it. Like, is that what you were?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. Yeah. So that one was basically like, yeah. So, like Andy from Andy Monahan from Fright Rabbit he did something on the second song of this record, and I basically sent him the track, and then he added some elements to it and sent it back, and it was just kind of like a kind of remote collaboration. And Tim Dion from WINTERSLEEP did that on a track as well, and then Ali was adding lots of stuff as well, who's the producer on it, and he was adding like bass parts if he had an idea for it. So it was kind of just done. Yeah, it was kind of done that way, as opposed to kind of working it out in a band environment. But it's kind of cool because then it's you're basing everything on a finished like vocal take and whatever the guitars and things like that. So you're basing the song around that, as opposed to a live thing, which is great sometimes too. Yeah, that's cool. I think that's part of the energy of the record.
Yeah, it's cool to see like people from all over kind of collaborating and coming together like that. Like the people in the UK, do you know them personally before music, or was it like you met them on tour or through music, and that's kind of how that relationship started?
Yeah, it started like well, I had met Ali once. Just he had worked with a band that my manager works with, and she really got along with him and thought that our personalities would work well together. So she introduced us. So when WINTERSLEEP was on tour in the UK, he came out to one of the shows, and I just went to dinner with him and hung out. And then yeah, she was right. He was great, and I love his records as well. So that's how that relationship started. And with Fright and Rabbit, it was just WINTERSLEEP had toured with them, and we just became really good friends. We toured with them for like a and a half basically, and so that was cool. I wanted to go see them anyway, because I was in Europe at the time, and I was like, I want to go see them. But then like wheels start turning, and you're like, oh, let's do something for this record. So it's fun. It's a fun way to. I think it's a fun way to hang out. I think, especially with other musicians, because I think it's a form. I think a lot of musicians get into music as a form of like communicating. So it's a fun way to hang out together, I guess. Yeah.
Was this always what you wanted to do? Like right from from high school or as a kid, did you always want to be in a band, play music?
Pretty much, like since I was 14, and I think at the time I liked writing songs, and I liked the idea of like being able to write a song and put it on a record, and it being like, oh, now I can play that song, like that's crazy. And then that naturally grows into this like wanting to be in a band and elevating the production of it, or elevating the kind of what's happening. And I've always been interested in that side of it for sure, but not necessarily thinking it was something that was viable at the time. At that time, a long time ago, it was like pre-Napster. So it was before all that stuff. But yeah, anyway, I didn't think of it necessarily as a career until like I was probably like, I don't know, like 24. I think like after I finished school, I was like, oh, I'd kind of like to try to make it something that I at least toured. Yeah, I think in my mind it was like I'd like to tour this record and see what happens, and if nothing happens, then that's fine. But it just seemed like it worked well, and the people that I formed the band with were all really serious musicians and stuff. So it's good. It's inspiring to kind of to do that and then meet other musicians that are doing it, and so then it kind of had got life of its own, I guess.
What was the timeline like? Like you had a band in high school,
Yeah,
and then you went away to college. Did that band cease at that point?
that band, it didn't actually, because we all moved to the same city, so that band kind of, we all moved there for school, but because we were all in the same city, we made one more record, and then I started another band kind of simultaneously with the guitar player from that same band. So that first band was called Carrie, my high school band, and then Tim Dion from WINTERSLEEP and I were both in that band, and we started a band called WINTERSLEEP simultaneously. That was sort of just kind of like similar to the beginnings of PostData, I guess, kind of like bedroom recordings that I just had, and we just got together, and then we met Lowell, and he's incredible, like at even at that time he was really great at production and recording and that stuff. So then it was sort of like, so we're doing them simultaneously for like a year or two, and then the school stopped, and some of the people from Carrie just left, did other things, and then WINTERSLEEP just felt like a natural progression, and it was like everyone really wanted to try out the touring thing, so we did.
How long before it was like known that this is gonna work?
I think really so like our first record was, we had just released that was just for fun. We were just kind of just trying to make it and enjoying the production and enjoying the process, and we were thinking of just doing shows. I guess at some level you're sort of you would take any opportunity that comes your way to play a show. So I'm not saying that we weren't. It was like, I guess we're gonna try this. It was like in the back of your mind, but I guess anyway. So I think with that, we just released that record, and then it was the second record that I think we had become more serious and like wanted to up the level of the production, and with that was just like, once you start taking it that seriously, it just felt like it was worth trying to make a go of it, I guess. And then I think like the third record, Welcome to the Night Sky, was probably the one that was like, okay, we can actually really focus, and like we don't have to I guess it's just, I felt like, you get a contract with a bigger label, and it includes a certain amount of albums, so you're just kind of like settle into that idea. At that point, that felt like it was like definitely like a bridge between trying to do something and being like, okay, this is actually what we do. We can play these cities, certain people come, and great.
So what was the backup plan? What did you go to school for?
I didn't really have a backup plan, I guess, but English. So I can speak English now. English and history, and I did German as well. But it was just, I don't know. I didn't really have a backup plan. I know I was always interested in writing, and like writing prose and writing poetry and that kind of stuff. But I didn't really have a backup plan. I didn't really see it. I guess I always felt like I could figure out something else, like if I had to, I guess, at that point. Like once you decide that you want to do it, I was kind of like, well, try this for a little bit, and if it doesn't work out, I can go back to school or do something else, I guess. But it's definitely not, I didn't really have a backup plan. I wasn't interested in doing something else.
Which is probably better, like a better mindset to really focus and actually achieve something, is to not have something to fall back on.
Yeah, totally. I think so too. And I mean, I guess you have your age to fall back on, because you're like, I'll try this for like 4 years. Whereas now I'm like, I don't have that really to fall back on. But like, yeah, it'd be like I'll be like 27 and I'll have to whatever go back to school and do something. But yeah, I think if you're lucky enough to be in this position where you're like working with people that are really good, but, you know, great musicians, then and you have something that is kind of unique, then I think that's really worth putting in that time, and it's not that much of a, what do you call it? Like, it's not, what do you even call it? It's like you're not taking that much of a chance, I guess.
Right.
Because it's really enjoyable and
risk reward.
Yeah, and the risk reward isn't crazy. It doesn't feel crazy because it's just a great life experience, and you know that you're doing it with people that are really great, and so then it's kind of like, yeah.
Even in failure, it'd be worth it.
Yeah, totally. And it's not even it's not even failure. It's just like,
exactly,
you would just make music and then you would stop and you would do something else, and then make music and then do your best to get it out there and enjoy that and celebrate that and play live music, which I think is just a good spiritual journey in and of itself. And then once that stops, you kind of just figure the rest out, I guess.
Definitely. And it definitely paid off. I mean, I can't remember the first time I would have saw you guys, but it was somewhere in the mid to late 2000s. Like, probably first time was probably at Evolve in Antigonish.
Oh, no way. That's awesome.
Yeah. And
like, that was fun. Are you from Antigonish?
I'm from New Brunswick, actually, but we used to go to.
Yeah, but you went to Antigonish for it. Yeah, so that would have been right around Woke Up the Night Sky, that record. Yeah, well, your first three records are incredible. I don't know how else to explain it. They're amazing. Oh, thanks so much. That was back then, like, especially in that environment, that's my favorite iteration of Winter Sleep. Is like I've seen you guys at Folly Fest and Harvest Jazz and Blues and Area 506 and like all the Atlantic Canada festivals and stuff like that. And I find listening to you guys around here, you open it up a bit more, you get more to your experimental roots that I kind of fell in love with back in the early days. Yeah, totally. And I like that you guys often will end a set with like Nerves Normal, Breathe Normal, which really opens it up and you kind of jam it out. And I would say that's probably my favorite Winter Sleep song. So it's fun to see you guys still value that as a closing aspect. Oh yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I think it's kind of funny because I think our first couple records are probably more, it's probably a good thing it's good to hear that, because it's kind of, I think as you kind of evolve as a band, you always want to represent all those things are very much what you're about as a band. So you wouldn't want to lose anything like that in the set. But like, I think probably at that stage of the time, we were probably doing a lot more songs that were in that vein of like Nerves Normal. So it was like, I think if you like Nerves Normal, then that era would probably be the best. But yeah, I think as we kind of grew, you kind of develop in certain ways, but yeah, we always want to retain that part of the set. I think that's key, and that Orca is another one we always do. Yeah, definitely. From that time frame, and it's like, there's something about those songs that I think is really unique about Winter Sleep. I think it's like kind of important. Am I really dark? Like, am I in a dark room and you can't see me? Okay, you can see me. Yeah, it's perfect. Okay, good. I'm just looking at my phone. Okay, now I see it on the Zoom thing. It's like, am I just in my dark room and there's like anyway, whatever. But another thing about like that, just that sort of early sound that you guys had, I like seeing it come out in newer tracks too. Like as you guys got older and kind of more mature as a band, I found you started to get tighter songs and a lot of structure. And then you'd see a song like Shadowless off of The Great Detachment. Yeah. And then like the end of that song sort of opens up a bit and gets a bit ambient, a bit experimental. And I love to hear that come out of those songs, because then they have a personality
first and foremost, and then when you open it up, you're already in that set and setting of the song, and it's cool to see the early Winter Sleep come out in those newer songs.
Yeah, totally. I feel like we've kind of gotten better at sort of embracing that kind of thing, because I think it is really important for a record to have kind of space in it. And I think that would be, I think that's kind of like one of the, I think that's it's definitely something that I really like about the like Hello Home, which is like not our most recent one, but that one has a lot of has elements of that as well. And I think it's important to remember to have moments like that, or to kind of because sometimes it can feel like really a bit too rocky or intense or something like that. So
and I find you kind of blend the two great.
Yeah, I feel like lately we've sort of been able to capture that kind of blend. Yeah.
And oh man, like, so over the years with both Postdata and Winter Sleep, you've toured, I mean, across the entire world, shared the stage with some incredible names. What are some like highlights from your career to this, like, thus far?
Right. I think, I guess I just think of it as like good tours are the highlights. I think probably, the touring that we did with Frightened Rabbit was a huge highlight, just because I feel like they have a really, it's one of those things where you can get a tour with a bigger band, but if their audience doesn't get what you're doing, it doesn't really matter that much. Like, it's kind of, it matters because it's still fun, and you're playing for people that don't know you, but so it's good, it's special. Like, you can be playing with, like, oh, we're playing with the Tragically Hip, this is great. But if their audience isn't like super into it, then it feels like a little bit tainted, I guess. Not tainted, but just not the same as when you do a tour with someone that you feel like their audience really, really gets what you're doing. So that was awesome. That was an awesome element of touring with Frightened Rabbit. And Tragically Hip actually had moments like that as well. Like, there's certain shows that were like that too, but it felt like with the Frightened Rabbit thing, it was like, but Tragically Hip would be another one, like being able to share the stage with Gord Downie was amazing, especially as a Canadian. But like, yeah, he's an incredible performer. So that was a highlight, especially as a singer, and just like seeing someone that can kind of command the attention in that way. It was pretty cool to watch live. Like, what else in terms of just
so did you do a full tour with the Tragically Hip?
We did, yeah. Well, it was like 2.5 weeks, so it wasn't full. I think it was like half of the states, basically.
Nice. What year was that?
Yeah, that was awesome. Right around Welcome to the Night Sky. Like, I think we were recording Welcome to the Night Sky at the time, so it was that maybe 2006 or 2007, I think. So that was pretty special at the time. We opening for Pearl Jam was really cool too. Like, just going to Newfoundland, that was just that. I guess that feels like a weird, like, band moment. And that would have been like in that time frame where we were like, I don't think we had even released. Yeah, so it would have been in the time frame where we were like trying it out, and like, it was on our second record, and our manager at the time just sent them a couple songs, I think on like MySpace or something like that, and they like got back to us right away, and they're like, yeah, because something fell through last minute, so we basically had to like we took a ferry. We didn't even fly. It was so funny. I don't know why we didn't fly. We took a ferry to Port aux Basques. No, that is what we did. I don't know why we did that. It's so weird. We took a ferry to Port aux Basques and then drove like 8 hours. So we made it there just in time, but we could have just flown. But anyway, it made it feel more dramatic. That was cool. And another fun kind of highlight that I'm thinking of right now is we were playing a show in BC, in Pemberton, BC, and we were going to be late because there was I think it was just because the traffic going into the festival was like they had underestimated the amount of people that were going to go, and like when people were going to go, I guess. So we were like super late. We're going to be late, and then they were like, they got us a helicopter, and we had to like drive off this area, and this helicopter came and picked us up and dropped us off at our show, which is so funny. So that was kind of a highlight. But yeah, in terms of like most recently, I guess highlights, being able to like play these shows are like kind of like play bigger festivals is also a highlight as well. But in terms of specific stuff, I think those things they felt like kind of moments, I guess. We got to go to Japan. That was cool. But yeah, it just depends, I think. It depends on the show. I enjoy a lot of it. And yeah.
So when you get to play with these bands like Pearl Jam and The Hip, and I think you guys opened for Paul McCartney too. Is that right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So like, do you get a chance to see these guys and talk to them at all?
Yeah, I mean, we got to chat with Pearl Jam. Like we hung out with them a little bit after the first show that we did. We did 2 with them, and we went bowling with them, which was pretty sweet, and it was very funny. And then Paul McCartney, we met him on stage. He was super, he's super nice. He came out and introduced himself to everybody in our band, and he did that with all the openers, which is really generous and nice thing to do, obviously. But we didn't hang out. We didn't even get to see that set, which is probably why I forgot it, because we had to leave. Like, it was dumb. We already had this other. We should have just canceled the other show, but we had a tour that had we had a show in Ireland originally scheduled. So we were doing that. It was very much like the Pearl Jam thing, where we just kind of found out last minute that he wanted us to do it. And so then, but I in retrospect, I definitely would have canceled the show in Ireland and just hung out and watched the Paul McCartney show. Stupid. But I think you're on tour, so you're in that mode anyway, and you're just like, okay, we'll do this show for 30 minutes and then take a flight and then play the next day. And it also meant that we couldn't go to the UK the day before, so we had to play like just after arriving, instead of our intended thing was normally you would go like the day or two before you play a show, but this meant playing the show meant that we had to go, and then we arrived there and had to play, and we're all tired and like crazy and hadn't slept, and like so it was not a smart idea. That was a low light for sure. Highlight into a low light.
Good contrast.
All in 24 hours, yeah.
And another thing that stood out for me, like I fanboy over all these bands, because I mean they're all my favorites, and you guys included. And when Geddy Lee of Rush played bass on one of your tracks,
like, that's a huge highlight. Yeah. Oh my god.
How did that happen? How does that come together?
That. It always comes together by just being like, let's just see what they want, see what they think. It's always kind of like that. Well, actually, that one was our manager at the time. He manages Trailer Park Boys, so we knew there was a connection to Rush, and we're all big Rush fans. And the producer is a humongous, like Tony, who did that record with us. He's a huge Rush fan, and he has this kind of recurring thing where he's like, what would Geddy Lee do? He always says that. If you're like worrying about a bass line, as if you can play what Geddy Lee's going to do. I don't know. And then we were just like, why don't we just see if he's interested in doing it? And expecting him to say no. And then he just was just like, yeah, send it. And he was really awesome about it. Like, he really was really serious about getting a good take, and it being something that was kind of connected with what we do musically. We don't really sound that much like Rush. But anyway, I thought his bass line was incredible for it. Yeah, that was nuts. That was crazy. That was definitely a highlight for sure.
That's awesome. Like, did you guys get to be in studio with him, or did you just send the track to him and he?
Actually, no. It was a remote, so that was yeah. That's exactly. So that was more. Yeah, it was remote. So we sent the track to him, and he sent us like 3 options for bass line. So one was more straight ahead, which is what we ended up using, and some were like pretty involved, crazy bass line. We should almost like it'd be almost cool to like release
oh man,
like the outtake of that. We'd have to get his permission, I think, but like
you should definitely do that.
Yeah, that'd be actually really awesome. You could have like a B-side,
absolutely,
an NFT of Geddy Lee's bassline on Territory, which would be amazing. Yeah, that's awesome. What else? Yeah,
that's so cool.
No, that was cool. That was really cool. Yeah, that was crazy. It's just one of those things that like it makes you kind of think anything can happen when you're it feels really special.
Yeah, definitely.
It's a small world,
Yeah, for sure. What are some of the best venues that you've played in your mind?
I don't know. In terms of just like straight up club venues,
sure, anything like festivals, even like I just love
all Pemberton. That's a really amazing. Pemberton, BC is just incredible. Like BC is just incredible. So just going there and being able to play outside in a festival it's just beautiful. Like it's so nice, and they're always really well run and really like artist friendly festival. Osheaga was a really awesome festival in Montreal. It's a great one. We played on the hill here through it was like I'm not sure what it was called, but it was through Sonic Records. They did a festival that was really fun. It was on Citadel Hill. That's cool. So I like doing all the outdoor ones. Are great. Venues, I think like there's lots of good venues. The Tide and Board in New Brunswick is really good. They have a really awesome. So they have the like place where you eat and then you go through and there's like a venue, and that's incredible. It's a really good. That's probably my favorite like East Coast venue.
I saw the tea party there last year.
It's kind of fun to play. Oh no way! That's cool. It reminds me of like it reminds me of like in Germany and like Amsterdam. They have a lot of like government sponsored venues, and they all kind of look and sound like they're always like they sound awesome, and they're small and they have certain specs to them. And that room at Tidenboard just reminds me of one of those rooms. It just sounds awesome, and it's like it's just cool. It's like designed with a really good sounding show for 400 or 500 people, like, which is just I think it's really cool.
Great energy in that room.
I like it's awesome. It's just it sounds awesome, and it's like all the sight lines are really good, and it's really great. I wish there was a place like that in Halifax. There is not. The Marquee's cool in Halifax. I like the Marquee, but you have to bring in. Well, I mean, I don't know what's gonna happen now, but we would always bring in sound like to the Marquee. That's the thing that I like more about the Tidenboard one is that the sound's already there. I think they actually hire it in though. Maybe it's the same thing. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. So Danforth in Toronto's cool. I like that. I like the Commodore. It was amazing in Vancouver. That's like a really, really, really special place. Yeah.
What about other collaborations? All that Geddy Lee talk got me wondering, like, anything else that you guys have in store, or anything that you've reached out or had in mind?
No, I think it's like I think we generally keep it pretty contained with WinterSleep anyway. When we're working on records, but I don't know. There's lots of cool. I think it's all depends on what you're doing at the time and who you're hanging out with generally, and you get your friends involved and people where it makes sense, Yeah, I think it just depends on the kind of kind of song. Like yeah, like with the song I did on this latest Postdata one, it was just like this song kind of felt like it felt like it would just the kind of song that Andy would make sound awesome. So it's like, right. I think you think of people, and then it's like, oh, let's see if we can. Or I mean, and I think that's a lot of it's like, yeah, I think you just have people come to mind, and then you just ask, and sometimes you don't know that person at all. Like, and normally you wouldn't ask that. I don't even know why we did. It was like, well, I don't know why. It's sort of like, it's so crazy that he might do it. I think that's why we asked him, and he did. And it's like, oh, wow,
that's awesome. Yeah. Any so you just put out a Postdata album, but is there anything with Wintersleep in the works?
Yeah, I mean, we're always working on stuff. So we have a lot of ideas, but it feels like it's all over the place, like in terms of a sound. So it doesn't quite feel like we have a direction that's. It'll take a little while. We're in different spots, but we're always writing. So we're just kind of compiling stuff right now. And we actually got probably like 70% of a record, kind of the bones of it kind of ready, like just before the lockdown. And so now we're going to have to try to regroup and complete it. But right. Everyone's, it's tough though. Like, I think it's tough in terms of a group. I think that was a benefit as a solo record. That is, I think it takes a little longer as a group because you're kind of running ideas by everybody. So it sort of like takes a little longer, and we're just, so it's like we're more used to, like, if we have a song to flesh it out all together in like a jam space, and sometimes that's just better depending on the song to do it that way. And we have a lot of songs that are, I'm sure there are a few songs that we can do exactly like this, and it would be great. But it would be not like it wouldn't be a full record. We could maybe do like, oh, let's do like a 6-song record and release that. But I think everyone just kind of wants to do more of a full-fledged thing. But so yeah. Right now we're basically demoing in the same way that I did the Postdata record. So I'll have a song, and I'll try to get it as done as possible, and then I'll send it, and then but sometimes it'll be like, this is cool, let's try to do it a different way, and then that kind of changes just a lot more time, I think. Yeah, it takes more time, a lot more time doing it that way if it's remote. So yeah, I think Tim's coming in like the end of the summer, kind of fall time period. So we will definitely have something soon, I think. Good
to hear.
Maybe not out soon, but
yeah,
we'll have something worked. We'll be working on. We'll probably have something completed in terms of written before Christmas, and then it depends on how the recording and how the production goes.
Now, would you play that live if things open up before that?
Oh yeah,
before it's ready. Yeah, good,
definitely.
Nice.
Oh yeah, especially like if the Bubbles thing is happening in the Maritimes, like I would love to do like a tour, even if it was. Because right now it's tough because like all the venues are kind of like operating at like 30% capacity or something like that. But I think if it was like running, doing a set that was kind of more like we're just gonna try our new songs in a live environment, then it kind of makes it more kind of just like something fun to do, that you're kind of like fleshing out the songs a little bit. So I'd like to do that if we can.
Definitely. Well, hopefully that happens, because an Atlantic bubble with some live concerts is what everybody needs for the summer coming.
I know. So. I think so too. Yeah, especially in the summer. Yeah,
definitely. And I look forward to it. Hopefully, maybe even a Postdata Atlantic tour.
Yeah, I'm gonna try to do a Postdata Atlantic tour. I think July we're doing something definitely in July, like mid-July, and then we're going to try to make a tour out of that.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
It just depends. Yeah, it depends on. I think it just depends on the. Well, it's pretty simple. It just depends on if the vaccines are working or if we have vaccines and what everything's looking like, I guess.
Yeah, that's
but
right.
We're gonna schedule it. We're definitely gonna book it.
Awesome. Well, hopefully that happens. Hopefully we can catch up when it does happen. And the new album, Twin Flames, PostData. Thanks a lot for doing this, man. It's been an absolute pleasure.
Awesome. Thank you so much for having me. Appreciate it.
Cheers.
Cheers.